Hello and welcome back to I Hope This Helps. We're going to get right into it. And of course, we're still recapping Bridgerton season 3. Today, we're going to be recapping episode 2 and 3. So, episode 2 starts off with Lady Danbury and, of course, the Queen. They're standing around a table of jewelry and they're talking about the Queen still hasn't basically declared a diamond for the season. And the Queen is saying that she's not scared and she's calling Lady Whistledown's bluff. Because remember, Lady Whistledown wrote about the Queen still hasn't declared a diamond because she's probably scared from last season. So the Queen basically is saying to Lady Whistledown, I'm not scared. I just want my diamond this season to sparkle more. She hasn't seen enough and she wants the debutantes basically to put in more effort. Of course, Lady Whistledown is narrating in the background while all of this is happening, and she actually gives a great quote and says, "It's a fool who rushes to judge while the wise sit and wait." So basically, giving the Queen more time to pick a sparkle, pick a sparkling debutante. We also have Penelope. She's getting dressed. She actually is complimented by, the head. I'm not sure what you call the women that take care of them, the head person that does that. And she was like, the looking glass does not lie. And you can see Penelope's face light up. We also have Penelope sisters who basically is still scheming with their mother for them to have, an heir. So Penelope is basically on her own because their mother is focused on Portia Featherton is focused on getting her daughters pregnant with a boy so they can keep the estate that they lied to get. Lady Featherton also realizes that her daughters don't really know what it takes to have a baby. They literally thought kissing is what the only thing that it took. So basically, Lady Featherton has a lot more work to do with coaching her girls with their husbands on how to make an heir so they can basically, like I said, keep the fortune that they have that they scammed to get from last season. While Colin and Penelope get closer and closer, he invites her over to the Bridgerton estate, which Penelope at first is hesitant because she doesn't want to run into anyone. Most importantly, she does not want to run into Lady Eloise because you know how Lady Eloise feels about her. Colin assures her it's okay that Lady Eloise won't be back for a while. So they start with the lessons. So at first, Penelope is still flustered and figuring out what to do. So basically, Colin said, well, just pretend I'm a suitor. And what would you say to me? So Penelope starts complimenting his eyes. And when she does that they're both taken back and that kind of reels Colin in and they kind of just stare at each other for a while until they hear a noise that, oops, guess who's home soon? Lady Eloise. Colin quickly instructs Penelope Featherton to go hide in the study. That way she won't be caught by Lady Eloise. While in the study, though, I'd probably be doing the same thing. Penelope starts looking around the room, searching around, being a little nosy. Well, being a lot nosy. So nosy that she starts to read Colin's journal. And in this journal is like a story. I'm not sure it's a sensual story that she's reading, but Colin quickly walks in on her, and he is not happy about her reading his journal. Colin is upset and he tries to snatch the journal away from Penelope and asks her, did she read it? And at first she denied it, but then she apologized and said she shouldn't have done it. But while doing that, while snatching his journal back, he knocks over a candle and basically cuts his hand. So Penelope rushes to help him and she starts to wrap his hand up from bleeding. And while she's doing that, of course, they're giving that long stare in the eyes, making it uncomfortable for both of them. And Penelope helps him. However, they both stop and they end the lesson quickly. And she thanks him. And that's the end of that scene. I forgot to mention as well, when she was leaving the Bridgerton's home, thinking she was sneaking out, she runs into Lady Eloise anyways. But they didn't say anything to each other. She just walks out and Lady Eloise just stares at her. So later we have the next ball. And on the way to the next ball, we have Colin and Eloise, who was in the carriage riding, on their way to the ball. And Lady Eloise asks Colin, why was Penelope at the home? And Colin basically saying, he apologized, but he said he doesn't know how to handle it because he doesn't know what Penelope did to Lady Eloise. So Lady Eloise still didn't say, but Colin did apologize. And she asked, what was she there? And Colin said, well, I'm helping her find a suitor. And Lady Eloise is taken back, like, what? What do you mean, find a suitor? That's not like her. And Colin says, well, now it is. And so basically, Lady Eloise shows concerned, and she actually wants to know how she's doing, but not too much because she doesn't want to get too invested in her. And Colin, just tells us that she's doing okay, and Lady Eloise is okay with that. Back at the ball, we have the Queen and again Lady Danbury. Again, like I said, my favorite person. Watch the debutantes make a better effort to impress the Queen one by one. So the Queen is happy at that. That they're putting more effort into it, and she acknowledges that. Also, Lady Bridgerton is still determined to coach Francesca. Remember, Francesca, this is her first season out. Is Eloise's second season out. So she's more invested into coaching Francesca and finding her a good suitor, a proper suitor with money and looks and things like that. So she's coaching her, hoping she avoid the mistakes that basically Lady Eloise made prior season. So all the regular debutantes that you see ball after ball is there, of course. Cressida is there, and the mistake Eloise made was telling Cressida that Colin was helping Penelope find a suitor. When Lady Eloise was giving Cressida this information, there was also listening, wandering ears as well. So, of course, this information gets around the entire ball, just in time for a few mothers to announce it out loud for everyone to hear that Colin Bridgerton was helping Penelope Featherton find a suitor. So they start whispering and gasping as if they never heard a rumor before. And of course, for the second time, Penelope is made to be humiliated at a ball, and she runs out the ball again crying, just like the first time. When Colin sees what happens, he goes to Lady Eloise and says, did you say anything? And Lady Eloise couldn't deny that she didn't say anything. And basically, Colin scolds Lady Eloise and does not know why she wanted to humiliate Penelope. So why that was happening, also I forgot to say, Francesca, Lady Danbury took Francesca like under her wing. And somehow Francesca found a piano, start playing. She plays beautifully. And upon her playing the piano, the Queen is walking by with Lady Danbury and others, and she interrupts Francesca. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Queen has found her sparkle. Francesca has impressed her. She loved that she could play the piano. So now she's interested in Francesca Bridgerton. Episode 2 concludes with what we've all been waiting for, or at least what we've been watching with their previews, where Colin basically goes to see how Penelope was doing. Remember, she was humiliated at the ball and left early. Colin convinced her to, come down, to get the person that helps her to come downstairs. And all of a sudden, Lady Penelope, she's in tears and she asks Colin to kiss her. And basically that took Colin back, like, what? She goes, I just want you to kiss me because, one, I've never been kissed. And at this, she doesn't think she'll ever find a husband and ever be kissed. And Colin's like, you will be kissed. She goes, I'll die first. And then Colin, being Colin, goes, well, you'll be dead. Basically being Colin as his usual self. Penelope's like, no, I won't. I need to be kissed. And of course, Colin thinks about it for a while and he convinces her that he will kiss her. So they lead up to the kiss. They move in slowly. And at first they just give a slight touch of each other's lips. And I guess it must have been okay because the second kiss was longer and it seemed to basically satisfy Penelope because she thanks him and she runs off. And Colin is standing there in dismay. That wraps episode 1. So now we're going to episode 3. And episode 3 basically just picks up where they left off. However, Colin and Penelope, they're embracing a passionate kiss. It's longer. They're declaring their feelings for each other. And lo and behold, Colin wakes up. It was all a dream. They also move over to Penelope Featherton in her house, and she's been stuck in her room for weeks, I guess, soaking, and her mom comes in and asks her, is this true? What, because Lady Whistledown wrote about Penelope. We forgot to mention that. Lady Whistledown wrote about Penelope, and now everyone knows that as well. So the mother's asking Penelope, is this true? And the mother almost sells, Miss Featherton almost shows a soft side and tries to convince her that not everyone has to be married and men come with more trouble than they're worth. And she almost was going to give her a hug, but she kind of just bites her finger and walks out the door. Back at the house of Bridgerton, the Bridgerton estate, Francesca has shared with Lady Bridgerton that the queen is interested in. So of course now Lady Bridgerton wants to know exactly everything the queen said to Francesca, word for word. She wants to know how to play this out in their favor. Oh yeah, by the way, I want to give a quick update on the Mondries. Remember Alice and Will? They seem to be settling in more now. They're taking back their power. They're married, so they're going to do the rules as Benedict said to them. There is no rules when you're married. The rules were all to get a husband. They've already established that, so they can kind of use their money and do it as they please. And while Benedict is giving them advice, he's still running from the debutantes as well. He definitely doesn't seem like he's ready to settle down, or at least he definitely doesn't seem like he's ready to settle down with this pick of the bunch. In the meantime, Penelope has decided to dust herself back off, pick herself up, and put herself back out there. So she's back into the search, and her mother is mortified. However, she puts herself back out there. And since she has put herself back out there, lo and behold, she finds solace in liking Lord Doubling, I believe that's his name. He actually likes Penelope as well because he finds her frankness refreshing. Oh, I also want to add, Cressida, remember, she's on the hunt, but her mother is basically pressuring her that she needs to find a husband, if I didn't mention that already. Because remember, this is her third season out, I believe, as well. And her mother saying, if you don't find one, her father and me and your dad will find you one. And that mortifies Cressida. Not to mention the mother's putting extra pressure on her because the father's cracking down on his wallet. So she wants to make sure Cressida marries well. The only problem with that is Cressida has set her side on Lord Doubling as well. So now you're going to see her and Penelope battle back and forth for Lord Doubling. So for the sake of time, I'm going to fast forward to the balloon event. The balloon event is an innovation event where everyone's there and the queen is there to look at this magnificent balloon float in the sky. Well, at the same event, we have Penelope and Cressida again battling for Lord Doubling. And this should be interesting who he chooses. He seems to be both interested in them. Cressida is playing a little dirty, of course, as she would, giving information from Eloise about a bird that is extinct. That piques Lord Doubling's interest, and then that makes Penelope also lie about what she's interested in. It's just a hot mess. Well, to make a long story short, at the same event, the balloon that was tied down by heavy ropes got away. So, of course, to the rescue, Colin, he's the first to grab the rope to make to help to get the balloon back down. So he calls all the men to help pull, and one by one, they get the balloon back to the ground. But the balloon almost hit Penelope as well. And of course, Lord Doubling came to her rescue. But because he came to her rescue, Cressida said, oh no, honey, I got one up on you. So she pretended to have a foot injury. So he went back to help Cressida. Yeah, like I said, it's a whole mess. I want to mention at the same event, Benedict actually met someone he actually may be interested in. A woman that's interested in more than just the obvious debutantes. She's actually a widow. So after that fiasco with the Hawkins balloon event, we move on to the Hawkins Innovation Ball of 1815. They're always having a ball, society is, trying to get those debutantes married. So basically at the ball, we still have the queen. Remember, she introduced Francesca to a possible suitor. So that suitor's there. And actually, Francesca's actually taking, she's kind of into him, and until they get to know each other more. They both have big families. She's from a family of 7. He's from a family of 7. But what turned Francesca off was when he said he wanted 8 kids. And Francesca was like, oh no, not today. You got the wrong one. We also have Cressida, mom again, urging her to get a dance with Lord Doubling. Meaning you need to get married as soon as possible, because now her mother's even saying, the money's the father is basically putting a hold on the money, and they might even have to wear the same dresses again this season. We have people entering the ball. We have the Bridgerton family entering. We have Lady Eloise basically making sure her and Colin is okay, because remember he was upset earlier, but he assured her he was just into his own thoughts. They're good. So they walk into the ball. We have Francesca and which she I forgot to say earlier, her and Benedict walked in the ball together. Benedict, like I said, is still running from everyone. However, he did come in contact with the woman that he seemed interested in. Remember, she was there at the balloon show early. He takes this time to get a formal introduction from him to her. And her name, I believe, is Lady Dilly Arnold. Now, I could be wrong, but I rewind that 3 times, and that's what I got. She's a widow again, like I said. But Benedict is definitely interested. And they actually took to the floor and did a proper dance. And speaking of that dance, I was actually glad to see the choreographed dance, because I felt like last season, episode, season 2, and then like season 1 had way more choreographed dance, and then season 2 had less, and then this season barely had any. So I was kind of happy that they brought that back. When I want to head back to when the Bridgertons was entering the ball, Lady Bridgerton, the mom, drops her glove, and she bends down to pick it up, and an unknown gentleman picks it up before her, and they lock eyes, and he's definitely interested. But Lady Bridgerton, being the lady herself, she just says thank you and kindly walks off. Later on, we find out that gentleman is actually Lady Danbury's brother, which Lady Benedict says, "Wait a minute, I didn't know you have a brother," which I actually find that interesting, because remember, they've known each other for a long time. So I'd like to see how that story is going to play off. So I just want to get to the end of the ball. The end of the ball, we have Colin seeing Penelope again. Penelope is well into Lord Dublin, I believe, and they're laughing. And actually, Penelope was honest with him, saying that she's not a naturalist like he is. She doesn't like birds. Well, she likes birds, but she likes watching them from indoors, and she likes a little gossip, and she likes, dressing up, and she's not that outside person, naturalist, as she portrayed herself to be. And he actually found that refreshing and actually applauded her for her honesty. So again, they're making a bigger connection. But Colin sees this from across the room, and he decides to ask his mom about what she's looking for Francesca for in a mate, a friendship, and because his mom and dad were friends. And the mother says, "You know what? Your father had the courage to ask." And Colin pauses, and then he looks at Penelope's ways. And then he says, "Well, I hope Francesca finds that." And then us mothers, we know, she looks Penelope's way, and then she looks at Colin and goes, "I hope she has the courage too." So she definitely know Colin is talking about Penelope, but she just said that and then she walked away. And I forgot to mention that Francesca, as she was running away from the suitor that the queen introduced her to, she was standing outside, and then another gentleman walked up. We have no idea who he is or his name, but it seems like they may be getting acquainted later on. Francesca just smiles, and they stood there in silence, and then she decided to go back into the ball. I got a feeling they definitely will be getting to know each other later on in the season. Toward the end of the episode, Colin decides that he was going to walk up to Penelope and ask her for a dance or tell her how he felt. I'm not sure, because before he can get it out, Lord Dublin, I believe, walks back up and asks Penelope, reminds her of their dance. I think he knows, well, I could see it in his eyes, that he was letting Colin know that he has claimed Penelope for now. And Colin was left there standing, and then the episode ended. So that's it. Tell me what you think. I enjoyed the episode. I actually enjoyed episode 3 more than episode 2. You let me know what you think. Again, I want to thank you for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe, and share this video. I'll see you next time.